Well, EERC have got their biggest ever team for this year's season. Justin Byrne is with me to talk us through some of the newcomers. This is Kilt. He's not new, of course, but you've been really busy over the summer, haven't you? Starting in April, shopping at the Racing in Dubai sale then.
Yeah, we keep buying and they keep selling out. So as long as they keep selling out, we'll buy more horses to syndicate. We got 2 at the April sale, 1 more in the August sale. We've brought a horse in America that's just arrived, a 2-year-old, hopefully for the classics. And we've got our first homebred coming over. He's in the UK ready to be shipped, so it's quite exciting.
It's exciting. Let's talk about this American horse then, 'cause that's the first time I think that you've been over there to buy a horse for EERC, is that right?
It's the first time we've brought one. It's not the first time we've been over there. This time we went and brought Enter Sandman at the Fowsley-Tipton sale. I think it's the same sale that they brought Polar River from, so if it's as successful as that, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, and he looks a nice sort, and I think you had a rider over there based with him, sort of give him a bit of a head start.
Yeah, we wanted to try and keep him on a similar routine as Doug's horses here. Because of quarantine, he was going to be a little bit behind some of the others, so we got him started and had a rider just basically doing what Doug's horses would be doing here for him. But we never had any plans to start him before. The Guinness trial is the first target. Hopefully a maiden before that. So we're probably looking at a maiden now at the end of December. That was always the target, because you don't want to overrun the 2-year-olds. You want to, give them breaks in between races and get them here ready for, hopefully a 4 or 5 race campaign maximum this year. Obviously, if he ends up being good enough, a 5 race campaign finishing on World Cup night would be superb, but that's probably ahead of ourselves at the moment. We don't know how good he's going to be.
And the other one, so very exciting that you've bred him yourself, Mr. Brownestone. So he's not here yet, he's still in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, he was in training with Peter Chapelheim to get him started. He had 4 months with Peter, but he's a big horse. And he had another growth spurt, which you wouldn't believe when you see the size of him, because he's not a small lad. And Peter said, look, you need to give him a little bit of time off to grow again, because he's had a spurt. So we backed off him. Because we backed off him, it was always the plan to bring him here, but we were going to maybe get a run into him in the UK first, and we just decided, right, he's got a month now, let's get him over here and get him ready to rock and roll. So he should be here at the end of this month. Probably again, he won't need as long to get ready, I'd imagine, but he'll be looking at the Guinness trial or the classic trial. He's out of a Singspiel mare, so there's dirt there, and Saki obviously was second in the Dubai World Cup on dirt, so there's probably enough dirt in the breeding, but he's got the classic trial as a backup.
That's exciting. And then the 2 you bought at the sale, Murrayfield hasn't raced yet. Has Doug given you any indication as to how he thinks he might go?
Yeah, he moves nicely. Obviously they're just stepping up to work at the moment, so it's hard to tell. And Doug likes to get the jocks here as well before giving full feedbacks. But he's a nice big horse, moves nicely across the surface, and we're quite hopeful for him. He's out of Bernardini. The breeding's very dirt basis, so hopefully, he'll be a nice horse.
And the other one you picked up at that sale, more to come. He has raced a couple of times for Sabin Saror, but should hopefully be another one that might well adapt well here.
Well, I mean, he's last maiden at Newmarket. I mean, they always make the comment you never have a bad maiden at Newmarket, but even the horse that finished 10th has come out and won twice, and the horse that finished 10th is rated 80 plus, and the horse that won it's rated 100 plus. So, if you go through the whole field, I don't think anything that's got a rating is rated less than 80. So it looked a pretty decent maiden, and obviously I think. See the stars get better with age. I think they're better 3-year-olds than 2-year-olds. So hopefully he'll improve on a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. And then the one you picked up at the most recent sales, a really beautifully bred individual by Medagliadoro, hardcover. What's the plan for him?
He's stunning. He's a really good looking animal. Again, he's a maiden on raced. He's huge. I mean, he's a big, strong looking animal. Moves nicely. Obviously, he's a little bit behind the rest. I'd imagine he'll probably start in December. He'll go to the maidens first, but John Ferguson's not a bad judge, and he paid a fair few quid for him, so hopefully we'll get the benefit of it. And I really like him. It took a whole 39 minutes to syndicate him.
And just talk about the established stars. This fellow, Kilt Rock, you're saying you might get to Abu Dhabi with him?
Yeah, it's a possibility. We're looking at options with him. He'll start at Jebel Ali, as he always does, first meeting of the season. He usually needs his first run. And we're looking at options. We want to space all the horses as much as possible this year. It worked so well for Misbah last year. We want to try and give them all 3 or 4 weeks, but it's obviously very difficult with the race programme. So we need to look at the race programme and work out places. But we talked about, we won over Meydan over 7 and was pulling away again at the end. So we thought about the 7 furlong listed race in Abu Dhabi as an option for him. But, he's so versatile. He can 5, 6, 7. To be honest, I always thought he needed further when we first brought him. But we don't need to stretch him to a mile yet, but there's always that option.
And what about Grand Argentier? He was another one who did really well for you last year.
We were really happy because I know a lot of you guys on the team. I know Jason used to say it all the time, and I think Stephen and yourself have said it a few times. The second year is always better than the first when horses come from overseas. To win in the carnival in the fashion that he did in his first season, we were really, really happy with. He's summered really well, really, really well. He looks great. We've got very high hopes for him. I know at the end of last season, we were thinking about putting him in on Super Saturday and giving him a run, but we didn't in the end because we were thinking more for this year. He could have finished third in that and gone up £8. So, we think he's definitely got a win or two in him. He's definitely, if somebody had to say to me, pick one that could go up the ratings and maybe challenge to get a berth on World Cup night, he'd be the one I'd be pretty optimistic about.
That's interesting. And Active Spirit won 2 races for you as well. What about him? Where's he going to go?
Well, people forget, he's still very lightly raced. He'd only run, I think, 6 times before we brought him. His last run was probably one too far. We probably over-raced him. He was never penciled in for that one, but it was such an obvious race to go for. Again, if you had to say one that had got improvement in him off his handicap mark, it's him. He'll probably start first Meydan meeting, which is ideal then because he can comfortably have a month in between races. And I'm pretty optimistic of him this year. I think he could be a really nice horse for us.
That's good to hear. And Shamal Nibras, I understand you've gelded.
He was being a bit of a dog last year. He wouldn't go past horses. He was travelling beautifully in his races, and then a couple of times where he should have kicked on and won, he just seemed to not want to do it. The gelding, he just looks a different horse, and he's moving great on the track. He's looking really good, and if the gelding's worked, he could be a lot of fun this year. We know he's got the ability, I'm not going to target the Jebel Ali mile like we have the last 2 years, but if he's there at the time and we've got a 3-week gap, he'll go for it. But there's definite options. I wouldn't mind going back on the dirt with him at Meydan as well and giving him a run there and trying him there.
Without going through every single horse, anything else that you're particularly excited about?
Tadrock has summered really well. Doug's words was if he lined him up in the yard with 5 or 6 of his more expensive purchases, and we know there's a few expensive purchases in here, and he asked me to come in and pick one, he wouldn't have been surprised if I'd have picked Tadrock, not knowing who they were and ratings and everything. He looks great, he's really bulked up, and he could be quite exciting. I could go through all of them. Tradesman is one I'm excited about, but I think just because of his handicap mark of 70, he could have a couple of early wins in him. He could, let's just say first meeting at Jebel Ali again, I'm looking forward to the 2 rocks going. And if you remember who he beat last year in his run, went on to be rated 95 now. So, Just a Penny. He beat Just a Penny by a short head, and Just a Penny's now rated 95, and Tadrock's starting off at 70. So if he can get half the improvement that Just a Penny did, he's got at least 1 or 2 wins in him.